So AI now seems to be an integral part of every aspect of our lives, with so many predictions of AI taking over certain industries completely. Some too may take time, but regardless, one of the benefits of AI to the film industry in particular is how it has the potential to cut down massive, costs for a filmmaker who may not have enough money to even hire an individual to do extensive visual effects, let alone even be able to shoot it on real life locations. Well, AI has come to stay, and one filmmaker has decided to embark on this to make that a possibility. And as a matter of fact, he has done it. And this individual is Damien Hauser, who has made a movie called Memory of Princess Mumbi, an Afrofuturistic sci-fi romance from Kenya. And this we can find in an article published in the Hollywood Reporter. And let's take a quick read at it. So it says that Memory of Princess Mumbi, director on AI and writing his African sci-fi romance in editing stage. Damien Hauser discusses his fourth feature, which is hitting Toronto after premiering at Venice, Afrofuturism, Black Panther, and the future of AI. I don't believe it will replace artists. And this is written by George Cizalai. And so there's a screenshot of part of the film that integrates both actual footage and also, AI enhanced background. So the buildings in the background, which seems like a skyscraper, some sort of high-rise buildings made out of wood on a hill. So that is quite an interesting. But it's actually also a mockumentary, so it has a realistic feel to it, as if it's actually a documentary, but integrated with a story. Yeah, so let's read it. Swiss Kenyan filmmaker Damien Hauser, after the long rains, Blind Love, new feature, Memory of Princess Mumbi, world premiered in the Giornate degli Autori, pardon my pronunciation, or Venice Days program, the independent parallel section of the Venice Film Festival, the sci-fi romance mockumentary, which is set in a futuristic Africa and explores such themes as memory, finding happiness in a tragic world, and the importance of small moments. Next screens at the Toronto International Film Festival, starting on Friday. In 2094, aspiring director Kuve Abraham, played by Abraham Joseph, films a documentary on the Great War of the 2070s, which erased modern technology and revived kingdoms, says a synopsis in the movie. Expecting to find despair in Umata, the heart of the war's aftermath, he instead discovers a village that has found peace. There he meets Mumbi, Chandra, played by Chandra Apondi, who shows him the beauty in everyday moments. Samson Waithaka plays a prince who promised to marry Mumbi, creating a love triangle. Yeah, so let's just read. He says something very interesting in the article. Yes, I'd like us to read it further. So Hauser's use of AI in Mumbi also allowed him to explore what AI means for the future of filmmaking in the process. THR talked to the director about his use of AI and his views on the technology's future role in film. How did you start including AI in Memory of Princess Mumbi? I was generating a lot of AI images just for fun and to see what is possible. At the beginning, it was very random, but I tried to connect those themes, including why I use AI, the use of AI, why I use AI, and why it is part of the whole story. And for me, the reason lies in what I try to do with this film. I try to make a film which AI couldn't do, because AI is always based on films that we already made and know. So since you used AI for the film, I wanted to ask you about your take on the debate about it. Some people are worried that AI is a danger to creativity and creators. Others see it as a useful tool. What do you think? Right now, to me, it is very much a tool. I've been making films since I was 7. When I was younger, I had more knowledge about VFX, but I didn't have the tools. But right now, that becomes easier and easier. I was able to make this film where I did a whole VFX myself, and it was very much a tool. I am scared when it comes to, I hope it doesn't replace the whole thing. I don't believe it will replace artists. It will affect some jobs, but at the same time, even if AI creates the perfect movie, once we see the perfect movie, we yearn for something else. Therefore, I don't think we are replaceable because we get bored by what we see at some point and we search for something new, and AI can't give us something new. No, that's quite interesting. So, that is him in your short. That is Damien Hauser in your short, the Swiss Kenyan filmmaker. So, how long did the editing and effects work take you on Mumbi? I started editing it in February last year and I finished editing and the whole post just weeks ago. Of course, I didn't work constantly. There was a time for 2 months where I had like a list where I told myself that each day I'll do 10 effects shots, VFX shots. And so I was just hustling throughout the whole days. Those were the most intense 2 months because I just wanted to finish this thing. But one reason that post production took so long was the way I shot the film. I shot it like a documentary out of 44 hours of footage, which were different types of scenes and conversations. So it wasn't repetition. There was no repetition there. So I could have done a completely different film. And it gave me a lot of freedom in editing. But as a result, I feel I really wrote the film in editing. And the reason post took so long was because I constantly worked on the story and reshaped it to keep cutting it down and making sure it was not boring. Did you ever have Afrofuturism in mind when making Mumbi or even big budget films along the lines of Black Panther? No, I didn't. I didn't think of it like that. When I shot it, I don't even know what kind of future the film is. I guess it is just an African sci-fi film. It is very much an experiment. Sci-fi films are usually, when you think of those big films, made for the audience because you are investing a lot of money and therefore you have to kind of play it safe as well. You can't experiment that much. And before I made this film, I was asking myself, how much should I experiment with the film? I knew if I could use AI as a tool, I would have complete freedom to make a film that is very much niche or which is very specific. I thought that's maybe what makes the film unique. Well, so I'll end the article. Yes, quite. Yeah, I think it's, yeah, I'll end the article here. But I like the aspect of what he did. He did say a couple of things more, and I think it does actually make sense in the sense that he did speak about the fact that a lot of films of this nature, especially that is represented, if you read other articles, that is represented on the world stage is usually films made by, someone from outside the country partnering with people, or even an African film made on the continent by foreigners, and he did speak a lot of all these things. But one of the things he did stress on, which I do agree, is the fact that AI is leveraging the game for all filmmakers. If you can just afford to even subscribe, afford a subscription fee to some of these AI, you can make your own film. That is, if you feel like integrating real footage with AI, you could do that. If you also feel like doing AI from scratch, a movie using AI from scratch, you can also do that. So it has sort of leveraged the game for all of us filmmakers who want to make films and possibly may not have $1 million budget to make that happen. So that is quite an interesting or a realistic aspect that he himself has been able to achieve by incorporating AI in the backgrounds of his films. And you're looking at a film that he had 44 hours worth of footage. And at a point in time, he didn't know what to do. So, in using AI, he was able to reshape the entire film, how it's supposed to look like at the end. Initially, just as he said, he didn't even know how the future of this film would look like. He didn't even think that the idea was going to be Afrofuturism, as he did say to the Hollywood Reporter. So it is quite an interesting aspect because I like the idea that he also stressed on the fact that AI would more often than not pull from resources of films that it has scoured over the internet and will pull those ideas. So for the film he wanted to make, he realized that he couldn't do it himself. So he has to keep on working on different concepts using AI to shape up the story of what he has in mind. And I like the fact that indeed it will not necessarily replace the artist, but then it will affect certain jobs, but it won't replace the artist totally. That's what is hoping for. And that's what we are all hoping for, that it won't replace us necessarily, but will be a tool to help us enhance whatever stories we want to tell. So that is quite an interesting thing. And I liked how he used it, how he used it innovatively. If you do watch the trailer, you can attest to how brilliant of a film he has made, and it is really exceptional. It feels very documentary, but then you get to know it's so obvious. They use the AI in the film as a tool. So you have a filmmaker trying to enhance certain shots with AI, and it's very interesting. And I like how he built that world. So, and as usual, just as the princess of the memory of Princess Mumbi does speak of themes of memory, identity, and love, and how his own personal life of tragedy did inspire him to write a story way back when he was around 7 years old. And I think it is quite, and he has a very optimistic look towards life, and that is quite amazing, a very optimistic look towards life. And that is something amazing. And looking at what he's been able to achieve so far, having this film actually premiere at Venice, a parallel event, toward Venice Days or something, it is quite an interesting. I mean, I'm happy for him that now this thing is receiving much attention than ever. And it looks like today being Friday, it will be premiering, it will be showcased or screened at the Toronto International Film Festival as well. And I'm excited that an African is doing something marvelous. The film is brilliant. You would have to watch the trailer for yourself to judge for yourself what I'm talking about. But it is brilliant. If you watch how he's been able to do the film, it is, yes, you could sense that there are AI enhancements somewhere, but it's very difficult to trace it. I can guarantee you it's very, very difficult. And it's brilliantly done. The color temperature of the film, the coloring of the film, it feels very real, feels very documentary like, just as he perceived it to be. And I can guarantee you would enjoy it if you watch the trailer. Very, very interesting. And the world building is amazing. The world building is amazing. Damien is perhaps one of the directors to look at, the African directors to look at, in the future. So I like that, the background of a romantic sci-fi, excellent. And it's done to fit within the African space, not like a hyper futuristic concept like what we find in the Black Panther. This fits within the world of Africa, and he did it so brilliantly well. If you watch the trailer, honestly, I'll be looking forward to seeing the mockumentary when it's finally released, and I'm sure it will do marvelously well. It will do marvelously well. So let me know what you think about what Damien has said concerning using the AI as a tool to shape his story during the editing stage, and looking at how we started with the